Hello, it's Dr. Alan Yim. In this video, I'm going to attempt to do the final project to give you an example of how to do this. So I am going to be following the instructions on the second page of the assignment, which lays out the steps to doing this. And as you can see, I've sort of already started it by laying out on my page just the first four measures. But what I should do before I continue on is to go ahead and lay out the rest of it. So as you can see, I chose for myself the key of B minor. I can't believe I didn't assign this one because B minor is such a great key, and it's of course one of Bach's favorite, and we're writing sort of in the style of Bach. So first off, I'm going to use the cadences that are most typical in a period structure, and that one is half cadence and PAC. So I'm going to lay it out here and show you just a diagram really quickly of what my structure is going to look like. It's going to look something like this. It's going to be A, and then probably the second section will be different because I'm not going to try to make these two phrases similar. I'm going to try to make them different. It's going to be in the key of B minor, and this is going to be a contrasting period. So as you can see, the first phrase is half cadence, it's weaker, and the second one is a PAC, the strongest of all the cadences. So contrasting period, and I probably shouldn't have written it so close, but that's what it's going to look like. Now the first step is to come up with a chord progression. I recommend that you use 6 to 8 chords. Don't make it too complicated. That's not the objective of this assignment. Really, this assignment is to write something that is in 4 parts and follows the guidelines for writing a melody, for part writing, for smooth voice leading, for writing the chords correctly with the correct doubling and spacing to avoid parallels, and so on. So I'm going to do the best I can with, honestly, I wouldn't recommend trying to do this as fast as I'm doing it or going to attempt to do it, but given the time, the time constraints, I don't want you to be watching a video for too long. So here, I'm going to put the 5. This is going to be the half cadence, and notice I'm putting it on the strong beat. Now, in between, I'm going to have 4 chords. You could put 5 or 6, but I'm just going to make all of these half notes to make it as easy as possible. So, maybe I'll just, let's see, maybe I'll put a 2 here, which is the most common. I could put 1, 5, 1. And you know what? I just realized, of course, I made the same mistake earlier today. I'm in minor. So I'm so used to writing these chord symbols in major. 1, 5, 1, 2, half diminished. I have to invert that. And between these two chords, well, I could put a 6 maybe, or a 4. Okay, since I'm just doing the chord progression, I'll make it easy like that. Okay, I'm going to go on. Maybe with the 1, I may decide to invert some of these chords. And then maybe I have to put in a 6/4 chord, so I'm going to put a 6/4 here. I'm going to put the cadential 6/4 there, and let's see, before that, maybe I will put let's try something different, a 4, how about that? And then maybe I could put a 1 here, and maybe another 5. Okay, so again, don't be afraid to use 5 and 1, don't forget the second inversion chord. It has to be one of the 3 types: pedal, passing, or cadential. Now I'll write in the chord symbols. I highly recommend putting in the chord symbols before you go ahead, just so you know when you go to write the bass and the melody what chords, what pitches you're dealing with. So B minor, F sharp, B minor, I may invert later, G, and C sharp diminished over E, and F sharp. Okay, I could have put a chord here, so maybe I should have put something there also. I could have put the 1 there. Well, I'll think about that. This here, you could either put a half note rest, I suppose, after this, just to make a big break. I don't know if I would do that or not. Or, I mean, we're doing it very simple, of course. There's a lot of things that we could add to this, but this is just to make it as simple as possible. Notice I leave a blank stave in between so I have space to put the chord symbols. So B minor, F sharp, B minor, and E minor, B minor over F sharp, and B minor. Why did I put that again, major? Okay, now since I am in minor, I want to remind everyone that here for the 7 chord, don't forget, and I'll just put this in red, raise the leading tone. So I put this in the assignment, but don't forget, it's super easy for all the 5 chords and the 7 chords in minor. You must raise up the leading tone, or you will have a minor 5, or you'll have a major 7, which of course you don't want that. You need the leading tone. Okay, so now I'm going to add, I guess, the bass line. You can add either the bass or the melody, but don't go chord by chord. Try to get a good bass line and a good melody first. So I'll put this in blue just to make it maybe a little bit more visible, and I'll start in root position. Always good to start in root position. I'm going to write these all as half notes. All right, so a B, and then F sharp. Maybe I should invert this, I'm thinking already. So 6, let me move this down. This is going to be a G. If I don't want to leap down to all the way to the B, I can invert this one maybe to have a D there. That might be a little bit more. Again, I'm going to try to not make this bass line leap around all the time too much. I might look for places where it could step. It's not happening yet, but there's an E, and then here, okay, so here I have E to F sharp. There's a step. So just eyeballing that right now, I can see that I don't have any problems. Keep in mind, there are a lot of leaps in the bass, but the bass line is allowed to leap more than the other voices. So you see I have mostly leaps and only a step at the very last, the last 2 notes, but it seems to be okay. I'm not leaping any augmented intervals, I'm not leaping a 7th. In the beginning I leap more than a 4th, but I changed directions, so this looks pretty good. And let's go down now to the bottom, and I'll put in the bass there. So I put a rest in, so I think I'll start over again, and I'll start with the low B. Okay, I'm not going for Beethoven here, you know, I'm just going to try to do something that's fairly reasonable. Maybe I can, if I invert this, the second one chord here, if I make this one 6, and by the way, don't forget to, when you invert a chord, don't forget to change the chord symbol. So I'll put that over D, and here I can see that if I do this, D, whoops, I'm going to get a step in the bass. So that's a nice relief. And then maybe I will feel not so uncomfortable about leaping up a 5th. So there, I'll put the F sharp there. And then, nice, we have another step. I kind of like this. And then we'll leap down. Okay. If you like, you could either sing the line, or you could play it on a keyboard instrument, or whatever instrument you play, or you could just kind of sing it out in your head. I would recommend doing this just to make sure that it seems like a reasonable line. So another thing I'm looking for, is it in range of the bass? This is easy, you could see that because it's on the staff. And that's basically all the things I'm looking for. So in the key B minor. And the second line. Oh, sorry, that starts on the downbeat. Okay, so that seems like a fairly reasonable bass line. Now, I have to write the melody. So, for the melody, I could pretty much choose any part of the chord, but keep in mind that you want mostly contrary motion with the bass, against the bass, and of course you want it to be mostly stepwise. You want to avoid any kind of bad leaps. It has to have a focal point. It has to change directions if there are leaps greater than a fourth. And if you have the leading tone or the or fa in the scale, well, not fa in the case of minor, but the leading tone should resolve to do unless you're stepping, descending through T. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start. Maybe I want to, looking at the bass line, the bass line doesn't do anything in particular, like it doesn't pull in any one direction, but maybe I want to step down if I can in the beginning. So I could go D down to C. That might be an okay start. So it's kind of high for the soprano, but not, I mean, I shouldn't say that's high. It's not really high. All right, so I'm going to maybe try this because, why? Because it's stepping and because it's going contrary to the bass. And I could continue stepping down. I do have to watch out because now I have similar motion, but that's obviously not moving to a fifth or an octave, and the soprano is stepping, so that's okay. And let's see. Just a little bit of a tip. It's not really a good idea to repeat a note over the bar line. So maybe I'll move down to G there. That little move that I just made there, it does make the chord very narrow, the space between it very narrow, so you have to be careful with the other voices that you don't get stuck somewhere. I may have to change that later. And then maybe something like this. I could stay on the G and then step down. Okay, so I have a very depressing looking soprano because it's descending through that whole line, and the focal point is at the beginning. But it's mostly steps. I didn't do any augmented intervals. I don't have any bad parallels with the bass. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'll go on to the next one. I'll play the whole thing when I'm done. Okay, second line. Maybe I should try something similar, but not exactly the same, since the same would be kind of boring. So instead, maybe I'll step up this time, like this. Okay, this time I begin with similar motion, but the soprano is stepping, so I don't have, it does step to a fifth. It's not the best. I could step down to an A. That might be something. Maybe I should try that. All right, I'm going to do that because it's, I'll give you another little tip, which we'll cover later in theory 2, and that is it's better not to have fifths and octaves between the bass and soprano. So I mean, especially in the middle of a phrase. So instead of having a fifth there, I'll change that and have a third. And let me continue on. Let's see. Maybe I'll step back up. So right now I'm just kind of doing it my gut feeling in terms of the contour of the melody. I don't have any leaps yet. Might be nice to give a nice leap to the soprano. But maybe not. It doesn't look like I'm going to have a good spot to do it yet. I can go up to B, back to B. Don't want to have too many B's. I could leap up to the D, from G to D, leap up a fifth. Let's see what happens. Okay, something like this. Alright. Now, remember that for the 5 chord, I have to raise the third if I have it anywhere. Here I have it. So in this one here, I have to make this an A sharp. Should have thought of that before, but it's okay there. Didn't cause any problems. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to play this now, and I know that I don't have any parallels because I was looking for those as I went along. Let's see what this sounds like in the key of B minor. Uh-oh. That's not good. I went to an octave, but okay, I may change that because I don't like that octave there. Going on. Okay, I'm okay with the second one, but I'm not crazy. I'll put a little red circle around it. I'm not crazy about this because it leaps to an octave between the bass and soprano, and you can kind of hear it's not a very nice effect. Right? So that octave there, maybe, first of all, I'm going to erase it. I have some options here. I can go down to a D, but that would be horrible. I can go up to I could stay on the B, or I could go up to the D. All right, even though I know I'm not supposed to do this, let's try keeping the B over the bar line. The other option is I can go up to D. No, I can't. If I go up to D, then I'll have hidden fifths. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. So it looks like my only other option is B. Let's see if that sounds better. So I'll make a third above the bass here instead of an octave, and then we'll move down. Okay, here we go. You see, that sounds better. Okay, I might have spotted that without even looking for it before. I mean, if I were looking for it, but I heard it when I played it. It sounds much better with the B. I'm going to keep it like this. So I'm almost done. The last step, of course, is to fill in the chords. Now, it should be okay if I keep those voices kind of in the middle and try not to leap a lot. In other words, I'm going to try to keep smooth voice leading or steps. And then if I have to leap, I'll make it small. Always look to see if you can keep the voices from moving inside these because, and I'll put it in green, if you start leaping around a lot, it's going to make it hard for the singers, and it will also, it could cause spacing and voice crossing problems. So starting with the first chord, any chord that's in root position, I must double the root. First inversion, I can double anything. And second inversion, I have to double the fifth. So I have that 1 here, this cadential 6/4. I have to remember to double the bass, which is the fifth of the chord. Okay, I'll start with the first one. I need a B and I need an F. Now I'm not going to put the stems on in case I run into trouble. And so I don't have to erase extra things. But here we go. From here, I'm going to go chord by chord. I'm not going to do what I did with the melody and the bass. I'm not going to write all the way across. I'm going to go chord by chord. Okay, keeping the common tone. There's the F, and we need an A. And here we need the fifth, which is, again, F. And we need another root, yeah, that's going to be good. I could double the fifth as well. Well, actually, you could double anything you want, but I'm going to go to the closest part of the chord, which is that B. Always, as I'm doing this, every time I move a voice, I'm looking to make sure I don't have parallels. So, for example, in the very, very first one, just to show you what my eye is looking at, I'm looking at the soprano and the tenor to make sure that I'm not writing a bad parallel, because they are moving in parallel, but that's a parallel third. So this is okay. And in the second one, I'm moving contrary to the bass and soprano with the tenor. So I know for sure that this is okay because I'm moving contrary to the moving voices. So, and of course, any voice that stays the same, you don't have to worry about that voice. Okay, going on. G, and then I need a D. That looks like it's going to go here. And the tenor is going to have to share that with the bass. So the tenor is going to go down to the G, and then let's see, C sharp. So this one here, okay. Well, let's see what happens. That's the closest. I can keep the tenor where it is, and then now we have to go to the last chord. This looks like it's going to work out okay. Okay, and that stays where it is. All right, we have to remember that in the 5 chord, I have to raise up the A sharp. Okay, so here I see there's a problem. There's an augmented second between the So, I could choose to raise up that G, and that way I would get rid of that. In other words, I could raise this up to G sharp. So what would that do to this chord? It would make it minor. So because the only alternative to this would be to revoice the chord before and to and I don't want to do that. I'm going to change this. So you're probably saying, well, wait a minute. Aren't you cheating? Well, not really. What I'm doing is I am raising up the 6th degree of the scale, so I'm using melodic minor here. And I'm going to do that. So I hope you don't hate me for that. I kind of used an alternate chord there. Instead of using the diminished, I changed it to a minor chord. So that's the melodic minor. And that's okay. All right, and let's keep going on now. Now I'm going to fill in the next row. Again, I'm doing this because otherwise this video will go on all night, and I don't want that. So here, well, this is interesting. Do I put the tenor down or do I put the tenor up? I am going to put the tenor up. Now, I could have put it down here at this F here, but if I do that, it's getting kind of close to the bass, and I want the chords in general to be closer to the soprano. I want the upper voices to be closer to the top. The bass could be any distance from the other voices, but make the voices like the tenor, the alto, and the soprano, put those close together, and you can see that in this chord here, rather than putting the tenor down where it'll sound kind of muddy if I do that. So I'm not going to do that. Then here, F. Okay, this is working out pretty good because you can see I'm keeping the common tones. Here I have a parallel because I have the tenor and the soprano moving down in parallel sixths, which we know is okay. And then I'm going to keep this, and we're going to move this here. And okay, there's no problems with parallels there. And then going on, keep the common tone. This is going to step down. We're okay. Then, okay. Here we have to double the F sharp, of course. So I'm going to put that there. The tenor and the bass and the alto are moving in parallel octaves. Can't do this. So let's think about this again. Wow, this one might be a little bit of an issue. In order to double the bass, the 5th, I have to put the tenor down here. So it's not the best. Let's see if I can work this out with the alto. The alto, oof, this is a problem because you can see now, yeah, this is a problem. This isn't going to work because the alto would have to sing the B, and that would cause a spacing problem either way it goes, and plus it would have to have a giant leap. So again, just to show you, the bass is stepping up here, and the alto can't step up because of that, because it causes parallels. So here's one of those situations where I think I'm going to have to revise something again. And to solve this problem, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the 4 chord. So I'm going to invert this, and that will solve this, I think. So I'm going to put oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to put the E up to a G and make it step down like this, and make this a first inversion chord. Okay, so we're going to put this E over G, because if I don't do that, I'm going to have no place. I'm not going to be able to make the next chord. And I could change the melody, but I don't, for now, I like the melody the way it was. Oh, wait a minute. But I do see another problem. And I don't know if you see it or not. But now, I made oh, geez. And I keep erasing by accident. I just made the soprano and a bass. Okay, I'm going to change my mind again. Because here, I did what I did last time, which was I made it leap to an octave, which was really undesirable. So I don't want to do that again. I'm going to back up. I don't like that. I don't want to leap to an octave. So I'm going to put this back to where it was. You're probably saying, "Oh my gosh." So if you worry about this, what I'm doing right now, which is changing things a lot, you can, of course, maybe save a version of it, and so that you don't get lost in your changes, because that certainly could happen. All right, I'm going to erase this here, and what I'm going to do then is I'm going to change the melody. And I'm doing this because, again, I ran into a problem here with this. I'm going to put the melody down to a B. Let's see if this would work. Okay, so now I have a parallel here with the bass. However, I still have a focal point on the C, and the parallel is a parallel fourth, which, well, actually, I lied about this. Let's take a look at this for a second. It's not a parallel. It's similar motion with the soprano. Okay, let's see if this works now. All right, so I'm okay with the 4 chord. Now I'm going to try to double that 5th in the next chord. So I'm going to put the F here, crossing my fingers. I'm going to put the D. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. I lied. Maybe I'll do it the other way. I'll put the F here and I'll put the D here. Okay, this looks acceptable. I'm going to go on from here. I think I did this okay. And now I only have 2 more chords left to go. Let's see. I could keep it like this. It's not the best. Not sure I like that. I'd rather... This is not normally the way that a 1/6/4 resolves, but the soprano is stepping up. So normally all of the voices move downward in the 1/6/4/5. So the soprano would probably normally go down to the A. I can't do that because if I do, I won't have a focal point. So if I did that, I would have to change something else. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just take this weird resolution and go with it. So let's see. I could put the alto up to the F and then like this. Oops. If I do that one more time, I will not be happy. Okay, so here we go. There, and then here. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Not my favorite voice leading. One thing I don't like is I don't like it when all the voices are moving in the same direction, but at least we have the bass staying static. And I'll tell you right now, this is a very unusual resolution for a 1/6/4 chord. I shouldn't say very unusual, but it's not your typical. So usually 1/6/4s, again, they resolve downward. I'm going to leave it though for now. And finally, the last chord, maybe the F can go there. And then I need a D. Maybe not. I lied. Let me see. Let me think about this. Okay, well, here's what's probably going to happen. You see I have the leading tone in the tenor here, this A sharp now. So what I have to do is I have to resolve it up. If I don't, it's a little disappointing. You may notice we're going to talk about this resolution next semester. I have 3 roots and a third. Okay, I'm going to play it now before I put the stems on. So let's see what this whole thing sounds like now. Oh, that was really funny. I don't know why I put a C sharp. That doesn't go there. Let's try that again. That was before. Oh, I know what I was doing. Sorry. That's right. Okay. Sorry. I know I put that. I put that there to avoid the augmented second. Okay. Okay, there we go. How did I miss? I missed that by accident? Alright, here's the whole thing. Oh, this sounds pretty bad. No, this is not good. I don't like this. Okay, I don't like the G sharp because here where it's just I didn't even pay attention to what was happening here. This doubling is okay. So I have a little bit of an issue here because I wrote an augmented second, and this should be fixed. So here there's a problem. And how could I fix this? Well, not easily. That's one thing. So I'll think about this. I'm going to leave it now because it's inside the chord, and that's one error. Okay, so let's go on. Let me play this and I'll go on. Wow, I don't like that as much now that I changed that melody I had before. I think I had a D there. Yeah, okay, so this really made a big difference. When I took this out, it kind of messed up everything because that was really the focal point of the whole thing. And when I moved it down to fix the voice leading, that kind of it kind of ruined the whole melody for me. Alright, but this is just an example, so I'm going to stop at this point. I'm going to save this, and maybe in the next video I'll figure out how to fix these two problems, because I'm not happy about that change from the D to the B, and I'm not happy about the augmented second. Other than that, this is everything else I think is okay. I'm going. If you discover that there's something that doesn't look right, then go ahead and send me an email. But this is just an example. The last step, of course, would be to go ahead and write in all of the stems. So let's see how long it takes me to do that. I'll just write this in really quickly. So you put all the stems down for the alto. Don't forget to do this when you do your project. Make sure you have the correct rhythm everywhere. And that means putting in the stems and making sure the notation is correct, not leaving out any accidentals. You can even, for example, put a double bar at the end to indicate that that is an ending. And I think I've done everything. Notice I have the meter in the beginning, the key signature, but I don't have to repeat the meter on the second system. That's it for this video. I will see you in the next video when I fix these problems. Thanks for watching.